In this video, we're going to lightly antique this USA 60s Telecaster neck. This is a Fender factory neck that was never finished, so it's perfect for the job. It's going to be a light relic, so no crazy chips, no fake playwear, just ultra fine scratches, and then very nice looking natural checking. For the decal, we're going to use this late 60s style Esquire decal and call it a 1967 build. Right here are the bushings we're going to use, and the string tree, and right here are the tuners we're going to use. We also have to drill a hole for the string tree and put it in the right location. Then we're going to antique the bone nut just a little bit and soften the edges. And if we go to the butt of the neck, we're going to remove the truss rod nut and scrape off the lacquer. For the finish, we're going to use this super fine or ultra fine abrasive pad to do the light relicing work, so it's perfect for the job. First, we'll start the scratches, so let's get started. So as you can see, this neck is pretty shiny. I'm going to take this little abrasive pad and squeeze all the water out. You want to be really careful with water because it can get inside these little holes and swell up the finish. So I'm just going to dry this guy out just a little bit. So with that said, since the camera is in front of my face, I'm actually going to start with the back so I can focus on this part without the camera blocking my view. So we'll just flip it around and start. So I go counterclockwise all around the whole thing. And then from there, I'll go clockwise. This cancels out the scratches. Otherwise, you'll just see these scratches in one direction. So it's kind of like you wax on, wax off. I'm not going to do the whole thing on camera, but this gives you an idea of what I'm doing. Now I'm going counterclockwise. And we'll just wipe this down real fast and check out how it's looking. Probably should have got a new paper towel for this. Anyway, let's look at the front again. So that's super shiny. And the back is starting to get a nice looking dull finish. Okay, with the finish dulled, you can see the super high gloss is now gone. I'm going to take the decal and stick it in a warm thing of water. I'll let it sit for a second. When I applied the decal, I'm going to take this piece of wax paper and stick it over the top so when I'm rubbing the water out, it doesn't move the decal, so it works really good. Sometimes they stretch and do weird stuff, so this right here will prevent that. This part's kind of boring. I always check it because I don't want it getting too saturated. So I'm just going to lay this right about smooth. This part's always nerve-wracking because you can mess them up pretty easily. See a little bubble right in here. It might just be stuck there. Anyway, these decals, they usually overhang right here, so the bushing kind of covers a little bit of that, and sometimes even here. It's just how they were in 65. So that's what that looks like. I think next we'll do the string tree hole. So to add the string tree, I made a template. If you don't have one of these, just put the strings on and then find the correct spot that way. Don't just guess it because you'll have a really bad hole. This was made from a real pre-CBS guitar, so I'm just gonna make a little spot. I'll poke this and then we'll go out to the drill press and drill the actual hole. So there's that location. So let's go out and drill that. So always put something under your neck to keep your relic from getting scratched, of course. But anyway, it's just good practice. So we're just gonna turn this on. This is gonna bump the phone. Nope. And there we go. A string tree hole. I think next we'll do the checking. Actually, before I go to the checking, the original necks had a little hole right here for the routing template, so just for extra effect, we're going to add that hole. I made this little jig right here, so I'm just going to line this up, put a couple screws down to hold it into place. Now, if nothing's in my way, let's see here. I'm not sure if that even went through the piece of wood. Let's just take this out real quick. Okay. I think I might have to raise the table up just a hair. Oh yeah. Well, 1 second here. You can tell I was really prepared for this part. Move the camera up a little bit. Okay, let's do this finally. Now we have the correct tooling hole. And also, this one came from the factory, they added that. So, we're gonna make this the right size. There we go. It's probably hard to see because this does not want to focus. Anyway, so now it's the correct size. So, we're gonna move on to the checking. Instead of just jumping into it, I'm just gonna explain what I'm gonna do, so I'll explain that right now. So for the checking, I'm not going to spray this with a can of Dust Off or whatever brand is out there. I think that checking looks extremely fake. To me, it looks just terrible. If you like that, that's totally fine. That's your opinion. This is my opinion, but I've never seen a real guitar with that shattered glass looking checking. They're usually vertical lines or horizontal lines. Sometimes both, but you never just see these little zigzagged checking lines everywhere. So anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this in the freezer. I've done this probably hundreds of times. It's no different than being in nature if the guitar is out in a cold environment and it comes inside. So There's no moisture in the freezer because it's frozen. The biggest thing you have to worry about is when it comes out, all the water that builds up on this. You don't want it getting inside of your wood and swelling up the paint, so keep it dry. When I do this, I always put the tuners on first because it leaves those little impressions. That way the checking goes up to the tuner line right here. If you don't, it just goes right past it and it looks fake. So anyway, I'm going to add the tuners. I won't do that on video because there's nothing exciting about that. So I'm going to stick it in the freezer and then we'll pull it out and we'll probably move to the bushings and the string tree. So let me do that. Just for the heck of it, here's those little impressions from the tuners, which also adds to the, relic effect. Looks more natural. So anyway, off to the freezer. So after several cycles in and out of the freezer, this is what it's starting to look like. Very nice looking natural checking. No shattered glass look. And this is legit checking. This is what happens to an old guitar. It gets cold, hot, and yeah, anyway. Next, we're going to take out this bone nut and antique that thing. So off of camera, I removed the bone nut because I didn't want to damage anything, but basically, I use this tool right here. Some of you guys may have seen this in my first video. It's just a little razor tip that I kind of reshaped and shoved in this screwdriver thingy. I start by scraping the lacquer off both ends and then off the face to prevent any damage to the lacquer here. And then from the bottom side, if this is the top, that's the bottom, I shove this in here and then pry up and it pops it out. I picked the bottom because if you do damage this at all, you're not going to see this much. If you're careful though, you won't damage it. So anyway, from here, we're going to round the edges of this bone nut because it's pretty sharp. And then smooth it out, all that stuff. And then I'm going to dunk it in some instant boiling coffee. And that'll give it a very nice amber color. So let's start by rounding these edges. So this is 400 and this is 2000 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to take this and just rub this edge. I'm not sure how well you can see this with my hands in the way, but we'll just do this until it gets smooth. Now to the 2000 grit. This will polish it. Anyway, it's coming along. I'm just gonna rub this real fast on, oops, the paper towel. I'm not sure if it's picking it up, but that will polish it out. Usually I just use my knee with some pants and rub it on there and it gets nice and shiny. Anyway, I'm going to finish this up off camera and then we'll go to the boiling instant coffee. Alright, so I'm going to dump this in here. It's probably not focusing, but it's nice and smooth now and kerplop. Now if you really want to get this nice and ambered, it's best just to leave it on the stove top and boil for a minute or so. But let's see how this works. I might even go do that. I just figured I'd show you. It's just instant coffee. There's probably, I don't know, third cup of water. It doesn't take that much, and probably 3 tablespoons or 4 tablespoons of instant coffee. I mean, you can see though, it is clearly working. So we just did the bone nut. Of course, we're going to see that once it's all done. But for now, we're going to take out this truss rod nut and then remove the finish off of it. Mainly because the original guitars had such thin finish that it just came off the truss rod nut so it looks silver. Now you can do this on the guitar, but for the sake of the video, it's going to be easier to see this off of the guitar. So I'm just going to take this little razor knife. I dulled this thing so it's not going to be super abrasive and scratch the metal. Well, hopefully not anyways. You could stick this in some acetone too and remove this finish. So the finish has been removed and we're going to put it back inside the guitar. It's always good to thread these by hand, because the last thing you want is your threads to be stripped. Now, if I take this off, we can have a look. So there it is. Next, we are going to press in the bearings with my old Dake Arbor press. It's the same brand and model that Fender used. Just tighten this down. Just the camera in the way. There's one. This is the best way to do this. Not hammering them. This is tricky with the camera in the way. Last one. Alright, so next we're going to put on the tuners and string tree. Yeah, the whole thing's going to start coming together. Alright, now the tuners. I guess we'll just do that right now. No point in cutting. Now these parts are parts that I didn't age. They were just in a box, so I grabbed them. Go counterclockwise to start the thread, in case you're wondering. Otherwise, you just create new ones. Sometimes, not every time. Now I could tighten these down more, but this is just a video to show you the stuff. Before we go outside and look at it, I'm going to stick this in the freezer one more time because just pressing these in causes little fractures, and each one of those fractures will turn into more checking. So we're going to do a little more checking, and then I'm going to polish this up too with, I like using coconut oil. It's organic and it works great. So anyway, more checking, coconut oil, and then let's look at it outside. Before we add coconut oil to the neck, I figured I should probably age this decal a little bit. This is trans tint amber and trans tint brown mixed together on a Q-tip with a little water. So I'm just going to lightly rub this on the decal. It'll look kind of weird at first, but most of it will come back off. Alright, so I'm just going to rub some coconut oil onto the fingerboard. I like this stuff because it's organic, it's not toxic, and it works really good. I'm not going to do the whole thing on video just because, but I'm just going to rub this on, put it on pretty heavy, let it soak into the wood grains, and then I'll wipe most of it back off, but it'll leave the grains nice and, what's the word? I don't know. Anyway. So the last thing we're going to do before we take this outside is stamp the neck, the butt of it. So we'll just do that real quick. My light goes out every single time. So there you go. All right, let's go outside and check this thing out. There's a chip up here because right as I went to record this, it slipped out of my hand because of the coconut oil. And there's one right there. So a little natural play wear too. Let's check out the butt and the rest of this neck. Well, I hope you liked this video. This little guy right here, by the way, has been by my side the entire time, just hanging out. He has a wounded wing, and soon he'll be back to the world flying around. If you like this kind of stuff, please stick around because there will be many more videos like this in the future. Like always, thank you for watching, and take care.